Hola y bienvenidos a nuestra primera lección de educación de distancia. This is the first time that we will be learning something new outside of the school, but treat this just like we're in a classroom. No, that does not mean you should turn on Minesweeper. In a second, pause the video, open up your OneNote, and go to your apuntes. You should see a new page called Apuntes Yo Go or Yo y Más. Pause the video until you have it pulled up. As we go through this new information together, I'll direct you when to pause and fill in your notes. Rewatch any sections you need to make sure you understand the content. ¿Listos? ¡Vamos! We're all familiar with the regular verbs in Spanish, AR, ER, IR, and how to conjugate them. In the present tense, when conjugating a regular verb into the first person singular form, we end it with an O. If I want to say, I talk, I would say, yo hablo. Today we're going to talk about a short but important list of verbs that we call the yo go and the oi yo verbs. Let's start with the oi yo verbs. We have used two of these many times in the past. Take a look at your note sheet. The first two verbs are ser and estar. Both of these verbs are irregular in the yo form. That is to say, when we conjugate them, they don't follow the regular verb rules. Do you know what ser conjugates to in the yo form? Good! Ser conjugates to soy in the yo form. What about estar? That's right, it conjugates to estoy. Do you see why we call them the oi-yo verbs? In the yo form, we change the o into a oi. There are two other oi-yos that you need to know. There's dar, which means to give. The rest of the verb conjugates regularly, but it's an oi-yo verb. Can you conjugate dar in the yo form? Pause now and fill it in on your OneNote. Go ahead and conjugate the verb ir. Remember that it starts with the letter V, but the ending will be the same as above. To say I go, we say yo voy. These are the only oi-yo verbs that you need to know right now. Ser, estar, dar, and ir. Make sure you have the conjugations written in before we move on to the next section. The list of the yo-go verbs is a little longer, pero no es muy difícil. Again, let's start with a verb that we recognize, el verbo tener. Do you know what tener means? That's right, tener means to have. Que bien. When we conjugate tener, it looks like this. In the yo form, tener conjugates to tengo, yo tengo. For the yo-go verbs, instead of conjugating to the o ending, we'll use a go, yo go. Get it? Es fácil. On your apuntes, conjugate the first three verbs in the yo form. Pause the video until you are ready to continue. Bueno, your three verbs are salir, poner, y valer. In the yo form, they conjugate to salgo, pongo, y valgo. How did you do? We do have some tricky verbs that we'll need to look at, and they are the next ones on your list. Luckily, it's only the yo form that needs special attention. Fill them in as we go. In the yo form, hacer conjugates to hago. When you're spelling it out, don't forget the silent H at the beginning of the word. On some verbs, we have to add an I to the go. Traer becomes traigo. Caer turns to caigo. Decir conjugates to digo. Oír becomes oigo. And seguir conjugates to sigo. Write these conjugations into your apuntes in the yo form, then fill in the other verb forms. Most of the verbs are regular, But the verbs tener and venir are E to E stem changers, and decir and seguir are E to I stem changers. Fill in the rest of your verbs list on your own, and check back here when you're done to get the right answers. Okay, chicos, we only have 2 verbs left with our theme of irregular yo form verbs. The first one is conocer. It means to know, or to know someone. It conjugates to yo conozco. Verbs that end with a C before the ER, AR, or IR get a ZC when we conjugate them. Conocer, conozco. You do not need to add that Z in any of the other forms of the verb. Alright? ¿Listos? Okay, vamos a la última, the last one. Saber also means to know, like to know something or to know a fact. It conjugates to yo sé. Sound familiar? It's like ya sé el alfabeto. Ole! Alright, these verbs are regular, so it should be a piece of cake to fill them in. Once your notes are filled out, try the practice questions. We'll be trying these as a class on martes in our first online class session at 2 o'clock. If you can't make it, please send us a message. Otherwise, we'll see you then. If you have any questions from the content, rewatch the video, or just send us a quick message and we'll be happy to help out. Thank you. Adios. Ciao.